Joined by Richard and Ben. Richard, tell us how long you support Newcastle for.
I was born, mate. 34 years now.
Ever have a season ticket?
Never had a season ticket. Used to go regularly when I lived up north. Now I'm down south. I'm like everybody else, just sat on your sofa fan at the moment.
Yeah, I know. No loyalty. What about you, Ben? How long have you supported Newcastle?
Yeah, since probably about 4 or 5, really. Grandad was a Geordie, moved down when he was younger, and then sort of got my friends to support Newcastle as well, and sort of grew up with the
You're in Portsmouth, aren't you? You're both
Portsmouth, yeah.
Oh God. I had a season ticket for 4 years. I gave it up just after Steve Bruce got appointed. So literally 3 days afterwards, I stopped my direct debit and stopped going. Yeah. So anyway, let's talk about Steve Bruce. Richard, what are your thoughts? I mean, I'm very much been Steve Bruce out since the day he joined because I just think he's a bit of a dinosaur. What have you made of his performance, especially in recent weeks?
I mean, last season he kept us up. Happy about that. Didn't actually perform that badly in the league in comparison to where I think if we had someone like Steve McLaren, we probably could have finished. And that's a personal joke to Andrew because we know he loves Steve McLaren. Pictures and all. So for me, Brucey's he's a Geordie at heart. The issue is, yeah, we are really, really struggling. Could we get anybody else when we got Bruce? I don't think anybody wanted the job. I think it had to be someone like Bruce who was in, how would I say, in a predicament of this is the only chance I'm going to ever get to manage my boyhood club. And that's why we got him from Sheffield Wednesday. I think looking at who else was on the market, there wasn't anything. No, Mike Ashley probably could have went for Joe Kinnear again and done something.
God, I do miss Joe Kinnear. You're a hand kebab.
But you know what I mean? Like at the time, we had no options.
What about now? Would you
do what you can. Now? Bruce hasn't really got any options on the pitch at the moment. You look at what we've got. Walking wounded. One player comes back from injury, 2 go off the injury list. One player comes back, another one goes off. It's rotational issues. I mean, you look, Fraser's come back, he gets sent off.
But don't you think, right? I'm gonna say, like, don't you think Fraser's sending off was just because he was so pissed off with we weren't touching the ball in that game against the worst team, a team that's lost, I think at the time, lost 15 and 17, hadn't kept a clean sheet, and we were literally making them look like Pep Guardiola Barcelona at times.
I think the issue was he just got frustrated.
Yeah, he got frustrated.
You can keep your head as a player. You paid a lot of money to keep your head, and the tackle didn't need to happen. You just press. You don't have to actually physically touch a player to tackle them. Just be there, and you'd probably put them off. But he went in hard, kicked the player, didn't touch the ball. The second yellow card. First yellow card was a bit harsh, but you don't do that when you're already on a yellow card. If it was me, he probably would have been coming off at half time because he looked like he was going to get sent off because he just didn't look like he was interested in the game. He was off pace. I think that doesn't help. He was that rusty. He never had to do that for Bournemouth. He was always the going forward player, not the coming back and defending. Remind me of players who just don't defend. He's like a Ben Arthur style. He comes back, but he doesn't know what he's doing.
Ben, are you Bruce in? Bruce out? What are your thoughts?
Bruce out now. Like, I've given the benefit of the doubt at the beginning of the season. We played first game, West Ham, unbelievable. And then I don't know why, but we seem to let teams below us we make them out really good. I went to the Norwich game at St James's last February. They were bottom of the league. We drew 0-0. We made them look amazing. Same with Sheffield United. We made them look amazing. Brighton, they walked all over us, and now they're at the bottom of the table. And the comments he comes out with today as well, like it's an uproar. Literally seeing people on Twitter going on about him, and what he says that Rafa's, what do you gauge in success? And he's like, well, at the end of the day, I've got more points and better position than Rafa was. And, and it's just mate, and then the news about Graham Jones coming in to help him, which is a bit of a joke. But instead of signing players, we got Kieran Clark and Cass on like signing new deals and that. But no, he's just ain't got a clue, is he? And the thing is, with Ashley in charge, we ain't gonna get some. We have Benitez, but like Richard said, we ain't gonna get somebody decent until Ashley goes.
I'll be honest. I think his last season's success, a lot of it was because Benitez had got that tactical. Yeah, I think it was because now he doesn't want to play three at the back. He said already, the players, the players weren't comfortable playing 4-4-2.
Andrew, how can you play three at the back when we've only got two centre backs that are actually fit?
Yeah, but his decision to loan out Florian Lejeune is just looks stupid now, doesn't it? Especially if you're playing three at the back.
Me, I was quite happy letting him go out. He looked off his pace. He wasn't going to get in the game.
But
and I think
every player at the moment
killed us.
Lascelles. Don't you think Lascelles has just gone completely? He was never as amazing as we thought, but he's a shadow of what he was 2 years ago.
Yeah, he is, but he's had COVID. He's recovering. For me, he isn't our best centre back. So how can he be our captain? Exactly. I would take a Fabian Schär of 2 years ago. I'd take a Lascelles of 2 years ago, but we haven't got them. We've got.
Is that due to Bruce?
Kieran Clark and Fernandez probably been our best centre back pairing. And that's saying something. I mean, Fernandez is, for me, him and Darlow is our player of the season so far. They've been great. But looking back, would you take a Sean Longstaff 2 years ago? Yeah. Would you take a Matty Longstaff of last season? Yeah. But players have got the ability, they're just not playing it. John Joe Shelby, for me, he wants putting in the bin and sending off to someone in the Championship that could use him. Use them wages, and that's what Mike Ashley will have in his eyes, is actually we want that wage off the bill, and if we can get a centre midfielder that actually could do that job, I'll be quite happy that we'd move forward. But I was saying before, you can have a prime Alan Shearer or a Ronaldo up front, but unless you get the ball to him, where the ball's getting played through to him rather than hoofed up to him and there's nobody around him, we ain't going to do anything. I mean, Callum Wilson's been great for us this season, and he's feeding off Ross.
He looks annoyed now, doesn't he? He looks so frustrated that he's probably thinking, I could have been playing with Grealish at Villa, and now I'm, watching Joe Linton fall over after trying to miss hit another shot.
Him and Fraser had, I think, the best goal and assist ratio last season at Bournemouth, and I think that's what Wilson's missing. I think he's missing that ball from Fraser.
Yeah, but you're missing the ball too, Fraser, because the issue is Fraser can't get the ball when he's sat on or left back or right back's toes because he's been defending so much. So it's getting them players further forward. I mean, Joe Linton holds the ball up great. The issue is he is clunky. He has shoulder.
That's being kind.
But for me, he hasn't been our worst player.
Oh, he's been atrocious. Even the games where everyone was like, "Oh, he played really well."
Consistent winger this season. We haven't had a consistent lineup this season. I think I want to send Emil Kraft back to Sweden and see if I can get a refund on the IKEA. I'll take that because that boy can't defend. Who shows him Aubameyang inside and then to give him the space to then even score with his left foot.
He's walking back as well.
I think
He's
Lascelles
walking
did
back.
it perfectly in the first half, showing him down the channel. He doesn't want that. Kraft, oh no, I'll just keep backing off towards the goal. No. Send him down towards the corner flag and you'll do nothing. That boy needs to be taught how to defend. And then he needs to then be taught how to pass the ball and then take it forward. And we need to then be teaching our players how to beat the first man on a corner.
Yeah.
There's so many basics that we're getting wrong. I want to cry like watching them. Like Giorgio Chelsea might be one of the best players at putting the ball where you want it to go. 2 corners in a row. Couldn't beat the first man. I'm not being funny. We've got 7 foot worth of players like Andy Carroll, like wanting to head the ball in, and you go on front post.
Yeah. If we talk about the midfield, if we talk about the midfield, Ben, everyone is saying the midfield is the worst area now. Because really, the only one who's played well this year has probably been Isaac Hayden. No one else has really done anything.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Good game. And I think Ben would probably say that. You look at him; I think his best position this season for us had been right centre back. He played really well.
Hayden's played well all the time. It's like Sean Longstaff. He looks tired all the time. We all cried out for Matty to have a game. Matty looks not, like you said, not the same. Just I just don't know. It's just so
Matty can't play with Chelsea.
He can't play in a 2.
Matty likes to drop in and tick, if that makes sense. He takes the ball, passes it,
don't want to go
around. You can't do that if Shelby's sat on his arse on front of your centre backs.
I think that basically we need to play 3 centre mids because they're not good enough to be 2 on their own. Sean Longstaff is a shadow of what we had. He is gone. I mean, the Leeds game, he should have been dropped after that for games on end because I think he caused 3 goals with his bad passing.
Yeah, and you look at it as well. You've got Miggy Almiron playing centre midfield. Get that boy out of centre midfield. I think he'd do more damage. I mean, he did more damage at left back. He gave away 2 goals one game, but do more damage up front. That boy needs to be playing off a striker. He needs to be playing off of Wilson.
Yeah.
And
if we're going 4-4-2, Wilson and Almiron, I think, and tell him you don't need to defend. You don't need to use all of your energy coming back. You need to be using all that energy that you're using to go forward. He did it with Martinez. Yeah, it was in America. Yeah, it was the MLS. It's not as good as the Premier League, but his focus is on defending. And
I think at the moment
he's very negative at the minute because he hasn't got any confidence. Right. You see him, and it's like, just knock the ball past. You've got the legs on that lad. You'll get the ball in. But no, he doesn't want to do that. He'll look for the simple pass after it. Like, just go for it. Go at the players. Don't be afraid. But he just doesn't seem to have that fire in him. For me, his energy is what we need in centre midfield, unfortunately. So whether we're playing 3 in midfield, whether you're playing 2 CDMs and a cam, I don't know, or you're playing a CDM and 2 cams, how do you do that? Do you put Hayden in as a defending player, and then have you got Longstaff and Almiron? Like, given
we all forget that Jeff Hendrick is a central midfielder, but he literally has done nothing except the first game of the season. So we all forget about him. We forget about him because he's been that bad. We're just like, he's not going to play that.
But Jeff Hendrick reminds me of a Joey Barton. In the first game of the season, we were playing a centre midfielder on the right because he could play the ball. He could hold it up. And whether you've got midfielders like playing a 4-2-2-2, whether you got 2 holding and 2 cams, whether you want them as cams or you want them as wingers, it's up to the manager really. But 4-5-1 for us is probably our natural formation.
I think it's
Pretty sure
9-0 at the moment.
Well, if you want 3 centre midfielders, that's all you can really play.
Yeah.
But then Wilson gets left on his own up top. You then need your centre midfielders who are. Do you have a very defensive wingers? Well, we haven't got any of them. Rick, yes, maybe you could say he is probably a left midfielder rather than a left.
Don't you think Richie has lost his pace now? And like he was so good because his delivery was really good. But
I don't know. I've not seen him deliver. I think that's the issue. I think everybody gets into that position in the final third for Newcastle. Richie, Jamal Lewis. He gets into that position where if you watch Newcastle of old, like a Gillespie, a Solano, a Robert, they were crossing and pinging that ball into the striker as hard as they can, whether it was high, low, or a floater in for someone to head it in.
Yeah.
All we do is we get into that position and then we turn around and look back and say, right, I'm going to do a little simple pass.
And it always ends up back at Darlow as well. Every time we go forward, then we just panic and then pass it back to Darlow.
Yeah. All of a sudden we've gone from in the final third where you'd want them just to ping the ball in as a cross. And it's gone all the way back to our centre backs. And then Darlow's got the ball and then he's hoofing it. And then it's like, well, what was the point of that build up?
Yeah.
Like, we don't get corners very often because we don't take shots. We don't do crosses. Like,
I think one of the biggest problems we have is that team as well is obviously is so defensive. But we had last year St. Maxim driving and taking the ball and going past people. His end product's not always there, but he was at least trying.
Well, Bruce,
now you don't even have St. Maxim.
Was one of our main issues. I think he was driving so fast that it then meant that we had a forward in St. Maximin, and then every Becker else was still in the box.
Yeah.
And I mean, not in their box, in our box. I think you've got to have players that can keep up with play. And I'm not being funny, Shelby can't. And I'm going to sound like I'm having a go at Shelby constantly, but he ain't a box-to-box midfielder. He ain't a defensive midfielder.
It's weird, isn't it? Because he when we had Shelby, Diame, and Jose Perez just off the striker, that three actually worked well, and Shelby could. But it's almost like now he can't play in a two, and he's. I mean, against Arsenal, he was absolute. I mean, it's a shadow of the player that used to. I mean, I remember we played Man U home, Arsenal home, Chelsea home. He was terrific.
I think every cup game. I think who was that one we went out in the League Cup? He was dire there.
Brentford,
yeah.
No, not Brentford. Sorry, in the FA was the FA Cup against Arsenal, was it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The one we went to extra time. He was awful in that one as well.
Yeah.
I'm just like thinking like he's a luxury player. You need players around him to carry him, and we ain't got them with the ability to be able to carry him. And I think we looked good in certain games. I think it was West Ham last season where they didn't press him and he just absolutely ruined them. And I think that's where, for me, if everybody knows the game, and I think this is where Liverpool's getting done over a little bit at the moment, is everybody knows how to defend against Liverpool now.
Yeah.
Well,
and I think that's like the Guardiola second, third season syndrome type thing. Everybody's starting to understand what to do against a Klopp side.
Ben, what have you made of?
Everybody knows what to do against Shelby. Get in his face, and he doesn't like it.
Yeah.
Let him go forward. Let you get running forward, but you ain't going to go back. So we'll play on the space of what you've left.
Ben, what have you made of like Jamal Lewis, Ryan Fraser, Jeff Hendrick? I mean, do you think Bruce signed them as well? Because sometimes I just don't think they were his sign. I think they were just Ashley signings where it's like, a Premier League player on a free.
I think we just, I think Ashley hasn't got his sights set on our football club, has he? So he's just like, here's a bit of money or whatever, get somebody free, bring some players in, whatever. Because obviously we lost Perez and all that. So I think Hendrick and all that were just just to get numbers up, really, just literally. I'm guessing Fraser and Wilson come together. Well, they come together. They talked, didn't they? And I worked down near Bournemouth, and I spoke to some Bournemouth fans the other day, and they were like, Fraser used to fake injuries when the team weren't doing well. He used to fake injuries, get sent off. He didn't want to play because he wanted to be fit. He always wanted to play in the Premier League, and I'm guessing, because they said that, is that reason why Fraser got sent off? Is he like, crap, this team's crap, so I just not play, keep myself fit, and then wait until the transfer window, and I'll bugger off like I did Bournemouth?
I don't know who would have him though.
I don't think anyone would have him in the Premier. I think he's been atrocious for us. He's been injured all the time as well.
Well, that's the thing is with us, we always get injuries. Our fitness ain't great. Like Bruce's tactics, I think he said after the Arsenal game, we want to go out and attack, but we need to learn how to defend. I was like, how much experience have these lot got? Like, he's got experience, so are the players. How can you must have that balance. And then he said, Maximin's back in the squad for Saturday. Well, I don't think he'd be on the bench, and I reckon he'll only come on if we're 1-2-0 down.
I mean, one of the things that really annoys me about Steve Bruce is he said Maximin is our best player and so forth. When he had him, he used to sub him at 70 minutes.
Yeah.
He used to sub him all the time. And he used to criticise him as well and say, he's very lazy, turns up late. All this stuff. Now when he's injured, he's like, he's the best player, clearly.
Quality-wise, he is our best player. Fitness-wise,
he's the best player by far, I think.
That's why you get so many calf and hamstring injuries, because he's not doing the fitness part correctly.
No, they're not intensity. I know a few Southampton fans as well. Ever since they got absolutely hammering by Leicester 9-0, they've looked absolutely amazing since then. It's probably the best thing that's ever happened to them. And their trainers intensified in that. And then watching the Arsenal game, I think the 60th minute commentator was saying, Newcastle looked tired. I was like, hang on a minute, we had 2 days more rest than Arsenal did because they played Palace on the Thursday. And how do we look more tired?
Talking about the other strikers, basically, I mean, let's talk about Joe Linton. £40 million. I mean, I remember, Richard, me talking last year with you and you defending him. Have you changed your mind? Because, I mean...
He's not worth 40 million, and I've never said he was.
He's not worth 4 million.
You don't pick your price tag.
You don't pick your price tag, but he's not worth 4 million.
He's worth more than 4 million, yeah.
Worst Brazilian I've ever seen.
The issue with that lad is, again, you can have a prime Shearer up front, but all he's getting the offer to do, and he's had a few good games. He's had some awful games. Don't get me wrong, but if you're trying to hold the ball up and you're looking back, and your next nearest pass that with your back to goal, and that's majority of the time he's receiving the ball, is 30 yards backwards to either a centre back or your left back, because your centre midfielder's on in space. You can't play the ball to Wilson because he's got 3 men on him. What you're meant to do is, as somebody who receives the ball on the left wing,
my issue with him is
someone like Nobby Solano. If he was playing in this team, he'd be having a heart attack. Like, he'd be one of our worst players as well, because there's only so much you can do as a player. And Joe Linton ain't a Messi, and don't get me wrong, he can't. He's not gonna,
definitely not Messi.
He's not the type that's going to dribble the ball through, is what I'm trying to say. For me, he's a number 10. He should be in a cam role off the striker. So if we're playing a 4-5-1 with maybe a 4-1-4-1, if that makes sense, with 2 like cam style players, I think him and Almiron could actually do a decent job there. But then we'd need wingers that are more defensive-minded midfielders. So maybe you're looking at a right mid that we haven't got, and a left mid would have to be Richie. But yeah, they would have to then obviously do that defensive part. I think Maximum and Almiron running at a defender with Wilson as your centre forward. I'm not being funny. Any Premier League would be shit scared of it.
I'll be honest.
Not even Almiron knows what Maximum's going to do. He's the most unpredictable player. So I think, yeah, Joe Linton's a big lump. Don't get me wrong, but we've got to use these players in the right way. At least get them like 20 goals next season, then we can sell them off. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, I'll be honest with Joe Linton. I think he is one of the worst Premier League signings ever. He doesn't strike the ball cleanly. He doesn't shoot. When he did play up front, he didn't run into the box. He'd stay outside the box. I think he should be dropped. I think he shouldn't play. I'd rather play Gale out wide. I know Gale can't even play out wide. I'd rather play Gale or anyone else because even when he goes past a player, yeah, he'll get to the pit where he's going to hit the ball and he'll fall over every single time. And he goes past people sometimes and then he'll fall over. And you think, oh, all that promise, and then it's just like you cannot trust him. I do not understand where that price tag came from because no one else was interested in him.
Hoffenheim are laughing, aren't they?
Hoffenheim must be like, how the hell did we get £40 million? He wasn't even their best player.
It was Brazilian, and the last player that they sold, Fabinho.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, Wilson was a great signing for us. I think it's the best signing we've made in the last 5-6 years, and that includes Maximum.
Yeah.
I think he's a goal scorer. The first 10 games, I think, scored enough goals. Do you know what I mean? To prove that he is Premier League quality.
If we hadn't had Wilson this year, we would be bottom. I'm so sure.
And I think that's the difference between us and Sheffield United. We've not struggled for goals through Wilson, because of Wilson. He goes down like Tom Daly in the box. Take contact, I'm over, and there's our penalties. But that's what we need. That's modern day football. You feel contact, you go down. For me, he's been the signing that we needed. We need the two that we were probably looking at. I think it was Sommer or I can't think of the other guy who went off to Italy. But them two would have actually made us a team that probably could challenge. I think you look at our comparable teams of last season were Aston Villa for me. They bought wisely. I mean, Watkins is quality. Wilson or Watkins, quite happy with either of them, to be fair. But you look at the alternatives, and I think that's where Villa filled in their weaknesses. We've still got that huge weakness, and it's the biggest weakness in any club.
I mean, Ben, what do you think of since Andy Carroll's come back? I mean, he scored one goal. Do you feel it was too much?
Context, Ben. One goal this year in 2021. That's one goal more than Liverpool scored. All of Liverpool haven't scored that in the Premier League this year.
I mean, I couldn't believe it when they renewed his contract. 0 goals last season, and he gets a new contract.
I think he was injured. Well, I think they're being careful when he was always injured, wasn't he?
Now there's another reason why not to renew his contract.
Yeah, now he's actually showing his fitness. He played pretty much the whole game for the FA Cup game, played his absolute nuts off, and then he got his goal the other week and that. But I don't get. He's got a hell of a good foot on him. I said, I know he's got the height, and I don't get, poofing the ball up to him every 5 minutes. But as soon as you get it on his foot, he can hit it. Why don't you just play it to his feet and let him hit it? That's what I don't get. He's got the power. He showed it against Arsenal. I just don't get it.
Crouchy couldn't head the ball at times. I know Carroll can, but Crouchy had good feet.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
I feel with Andy Carroll now is that when he was here last time, he was so dominant in the air, and I don't feel he's as dominant. And I think his mobility's gone down.
Andrew. Come on, how can he be dominant? We can't beat the first
even
player. We don't cross the ball in. Yeah. Like Andy Carroll, when he was in his prime, had Joey Barton spraying the ball from right midfield. Kevin Nolan playing off him, so the defenders didn't want to go touch tight because if they went touch tight on Carroll, they had Nolan coming in behind them. Like, we would cross the ball in.
I think even now, even then, if you'd hit a long ball to him, he would. Like, I remember we played Chelsea. This is when David Luiz and I think Alex were the defenders, and he absolutely destroyed them. He was incredible. Now he's still, I mean, he's still getting there, but he's not winning as much. But to be honest, he's had so many injuries and so much bad luck. It's probably paid its toll. But I mean, Richard, are you happy with his contribution this season?
I think that boy oozes Newcastle, and he shows the pride of wearing that shirt. He shows the performance that everybody else should be putting in. That FA Cup game, that boy absolutely ran ragged.
Yeah.
Like, he was physically looking like he was going to be sick in that game. He put in a shift. Other players didn't look interested, really. But you could see you didn't want to take him off, but you could see he was knackered. Like, he wanted to wear that shirt. He wants that silver. He wanted to play. You can tell he's got that drive and determination. The issue is, we can hoof the ball up to him, but he hasn't got someone playing off of him. I mean, you've got Wilson who's running away, obviously, from the ball, trying to get the flick on, but there's no midfielder who's playing alongside of him, if that makes sense. There's no box to box, and that's where it sounds stupid, but Bruce would do well if we had a box-to-box midfielder. We've got a CDM. I don't really feel we need another CDM. Hayden can do that job. But we need somebody who's going to come into centre midfield, but then go forward. And we haven't got that. And whether or not you play narrow, you play wide, we're lacking one quality midfielder, and we're lacking a right back that can defend. Because I think out of the three, Manquilo's probably the best at defending. But Yedlin can't defend. Kraft can't defend.
I think right back is our weakest position by far, I think.
I think we bought Jamal Lewis, and he didn't cost like a non-substantial amount of money. It was quite a fair chunk.
15 million. That's what Alan Shearer
how much was Aaron's from Norwich? Was that 20, 25?
Yeah.
Because I think he's the type of player that actually could help us.
I think we scouted the wrong player.
Last year, they had Godfrey, Aarons, and Lewis, and they're all being sold for or being quoted at around the 20 million mark. I mean, there must be something wrong when all three of them couldn't, at 60 million defence, couldn't keep up your team when we've got some weeks probably about £10 million worth playing, if that makes sense, and that's being generous.
I think the scouting have got mixed up because Aaron's I used to always rate, and Lewis I never used to notice, and I think they've bought Jamal Lewis thinking it's Aaron's because Jamal Lewis. They bought Jamal Lewis because
they thought if he can look all right, we can sell him for 50 million next year.
All right. What are you guys' predictions, Ben? Then what's your prediction of the Villa game?
It doesn't look great. I watched Villa against Man City. I mean, Man City didn't play with a striker. We played with pretty much four strikers last game. We couldn't even hit a barn door. Obviously, they won't have Dean Smith, but I've just got to think we're going to lose. I reckon 2-0. I reckon maybe maximum will come on 15.
Do you reckon we'll have a shot?
I really don't know. He said today in the press conference he's going to use the same tactics he used against Arsenal. So that doesn't give me greatest confidence in the world. But
the gloves are off now, aren't they? So same
tactics against Arsenal because we actually went at them and we looked all right.
Yeah, the counter.
For the first 30
minutes. The personnel I think needs to change. Tactics are fine. It's the personnel. We just don't have the ability.
And what about you, Richard? What do you reckon the score will be?
For me, I think if we keep a clean sheet, we've done well. I think that's the honest truth. Look, like if we can keep a clean sheet against them, I'd take a 0-0. But I'd love a win. I'll love a win against Villa.
They relegated us twice as well. So
I just think if Cross is in the same spot and Grealish is going towards him, that's it.
Yeah.
For me, they've got quality on their pitch.
Yeah.
Like Grealish has just got that fighting desire, but it could be another upset. You never know. We might get a goal from an offside position, like 50 yards offside, and score a goal. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'd one of them, play it back to Martinez and cock it all up or something like that, and Carroll scores a goal. I think we might have a shot on target. I'm going for 2 shots on target.
I think I'm going to go for Villa 3-0. I'll be honest. I can't. Jack Grealish against our lack of mobility is just going to be a disaster, I reckon.
I think it'll be telling who Bruce picks.
Oh.
Yeah.
If he picks Shelby, we've lost.
Oh.
Grealish will have him. I think that's clear. If you pick Kraft, we've lost as well. I think they're the 2 players for me that we cannot afford to pick in this game. I'd prefer to play Yedlin against Grealish than Kraft.
Yeah.
Or even play Richie at right back. Like, that's how desperate I would be not to play Kraft.
All right. Anyway, thanks for joining us today, guys. It's all been uploaded. Please subscribe to the channel and like and make comments, please. Thanks very much. Okay.